Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we continue our off-season without Celtic. The 24-25 campaign might be over, but sooner rather than later it'll be time for Celtic to return, and today we're going to focus on a few of the key dates in preparation for Celtic returning to training and beyond, and also a couple of transfer related stories as well. So bear with me, I'm here all summer and this is us just at the start. Before you know it, we'll be back, so enjoy it. Enjoy the brief peace that you have while you can. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated, and thank you for the support throughout the entirety of last season. I'm ready to do it all again, but until then we have a summer of news to go through, probably a lot of nonsense but a lot of good stuff as well. And today we're going to start the preparations already for 2025-26 because we already have the dates emerging for when we should expect to see Celtic back in action. For most of the Celtic squad, the summer holidays have begun. They can go and enjoy themselves. However, for some, international duty still is in the way before they can jet off and enjoy themselves. But for Celtic fans, well, we don't have any football now for quite a while. But Celtic will return quickly. And as we know, the summer, with all the transfer rumours and everything else that goes on in daily life, it flies by, and already we have reports coming out in the tabloids that Celtic have set up their full friendlies list. This was one of the headlines that came out, reporting that Celtic are set to jet off to Como in Italy. We have set up glamour friendlies against European giants in a pre-season tournament in Italy ahead of our title defence. Brendan Rodgers' side are set to face Cesc Fabregas' Como outfit and Dutch heavyweights Ajax in July. So adding on to the friendlies we already knew were happening at Celtic Park against Newcastle and Cork over in Ireland, we now are jetting off to Italy, it seems, which I must admit would be a fantastic one to go to if I had the money. Sadly, it was The Sun who were reporting this morning that they understand Brendan Rodgers' Premiership champions have accepted an invitation to take part in this pre-season tournament in Como. We're due to take on Cork in Ireland on Tuesday, July 8th, and then Celtic will fly to Portugal for an 8-day pre-season training camp, which is expected to include a match against Sporting Lisbon in Faro. Now, what I will say is, a missed opportunity. Celtic set to play Sporting Lisbon in Portugal. I don't know the logistics around everything, especially with the apparent renovations that are set to happen, but they've missed a trick and a half, in fact, to play Sporting Lisbon at the Estadio Nacional and have Celtic return there in some capacity. Huge opportunity gone begging. What were they thinking? So that means Celtic's pre-season friendlies are finalised. In fact, this nifty wee list from 67 Hale lays it out perfectly. Celtic have got all their games, or what you would suspect is all their games, lined up, because the dates included in these games would take you right up into the start of the new Premiership season, which is set to kick off on August 2nd. So Cork City over in Cork, Sporting behind closed doors perhaps in Faro. There is no location announced as of yet. Newcastle, the only Celtic Park friendly game that we should expect to see this season. And then Como and Ajax, as we've already said, at the fantastic Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia in Como, Italy. It's a beautiful stadium that is set to go under renovations of its own, but that is where the games are set. That is where we should expect to see Celtic play, and we should expect to see all those friendlies announced officially by the club sometime very soon. So here is the full list of all the key dates in preparation for Celtic's return over the next couple of months. The transfer window opens in Scotland on the 12th of June, which will be quickly followed up by the announcement of the fixtures for the Scottish Premiership season. That happens on the 20th of June, so that's when we'll find out who we play on the opening game of the season, on Flag Day, when the derbies take place, etc, etc. That'll be quickly followed up by Celtic returning to Lennoxtown on the 1st of July, which is also the same date that Kieran Tierney will officially be a Celtic player once more. That's right, his contract expires on the 30th of June at Arsenal, and that means he will be a Celtic player on the 1st of July. That's when you should expect to see all the pictures and stuff like that. Following the conclusion of all the friendlies, this is where the important stuff happens. So the friendlies conclude, as we know, on perhaps the 26th of July, as we've mentioned. And following that, that's when all the important stuff really starts to happen. So Celtic kick off their season on August 2nd. That is the penciled in date for the start of the Scottish Premiership season. That should be Flag Day. And then on August 4th, the Champions League playoff draw will be done, where Celtic will be seeded and find out who they play in that playoff round. That's followed then, of course, by the playoff fixtures. The first leg set to commence on the week of the 19th, and then followed by the second leg on the week of the 26th. And if Celtic are successful, they will find out their Champions League opponents on August 28th. If not successful, it will be the Europa League opponents. The transfer window in Scotland is apparently due to end early this year on August 29th. So there is all the key dates that you need to know for Celtic going into this season, going into this summer. It's going to fly by, trust me, especially with all the transfer rumours and the players that might come and go. It'll be August 2nd and the new season will be starting before you know it. So, stay with me and we'll build to all of those. But that's essentially what you're looking out for. Okay, so on to the news stories for today. And there's not too many, but a few that do concern Celtic, of course. Crystal Palace have officially announced that they are releasing Jeffrey Schlupp at the end of his contract. The statement came out last night that he's set to leave Crystal Palace, with it going on to say that after 8.5 years with the club, Jeffrey Schlupp will leave Crystal Palace this summer. An important and trusted member of the squad under numerous managers at Selhurst Park, he went on to make 247 appearances for the club since moving down to South London from Leicester in January 2017. So obviously this will raise the question, will Celtic go in for him? Will they try and sign him on that free contract? I still have my doubts, but we now know that he is officially a free agent. A brief congratulations to Jeffrey as well, because he went on to win the Chairman's Award for an outstanding contribution at the club's award ceremony last night as well. It's an award given out by Chairman Steve Parish for, you guessed it, an outstanding contribution. And it was said that he's went on to win that because of his variety in a few different roles under different managers, being an important member of the squad and making 247 appearances, which I found this mad, going on to make him the 4th highest appearance maker in the Premier League for Crystal Palace. So a great servant to their club and now a free agent. We'll see if Celtic have any discussions. We're hearing rumours that might be happening, but I just really don't see it with the money he was on down south, allegedly, and what he probably wants for the next stage of his career, the last stage of his career. I just don't think Celtic will be the destination, but he is now a free agent. You might see headlines like this doing the rounds this morning in regards to Daizen Maeda and apparently commenting on his Celtic future. And if you haven't, well, it's nothing to get your hopes up about too much. Now, it is good, it's reassuring, it's positive to read things like this, but I think it's reading too much into something for the sake of a story. So this was reported on by the Herald, saying that Daizen Maeda has revealed how he feels ahead of the summer transfer window, and he goes on to say that he sees no difference between now and the past. He still enjoys playing for Celtic. Since he's been at Celtic, he's been playing football with joy. But this is just a quotation from Celtic's end of season highlights package, which they posted to their social media channels. It's not like a sit down interview. It's not a quote from somebody in Japan or somebody that's really close to the player, or it's just a clip from a video. A video which Celtic are obviously going to put very positive quotes in. It's nothing to be running away with and thinking it means Maeda is putting pen to paper on a contract, definitely here next season. I'd like to think he said that because he wants to be here next season and because there is optimism going into contract talks. But when you see these headlines, please make sure you take everything with a pinch of salt. Of course it's come from the player directly himself. Of course it's something to be positive about. But by no means does it mean that we're clear yet. There's still a way to go. And there's still teams floating around them, as we spoke about yesterday. Of course, there was that rumour that came out that Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce is looking at Daizen Maeda. And even though I think that article itself was a lot of nonsense, they went on to say that Fenerbahce want to look at him for about £9 million. It's nonsense, but it probably speaks some truth to the point where teams will be looking at him. And big teams will probably be looking at him. And if he wants to challenge himself and go elsewhere, I'm sure that's probably a possibility in Daizen Maeda's head. So we just need to stay put for now, stay calm, stay confident, and hopefully the club give him an enticing offer to keep him here for at least another year or two. finally for today, we're going to talk about Michel-Ange Balikwisha very, very quickly. We know he's been linked with Celtic for about a year now. He first popped up as a target for the club in last year's summer window. He picked up an injury, basically destroyed any hope of a move to Celtic throughout that window in January, but he is now set to leave Antwerp. We've heard that a number of times, and that was backed up today by a publication in Belgium who have reported that Antwerp's transfer summer is all about raising money and trying to keep the club financially stable. And in the article that they wrote about that, they have again confirmed that it's likely Michel-Ange Balikwisha will leave the club. So the article does report that Antwerp are in a situation, a financial situation, which is well known, and despite their ambition, they need to raise a hefty amount of money. They need to construct a new stand at the stadium, which is currently underway apparently, and that calls for a lot of money. They need to raise around 30 million euros apparently, which means they are set to lose big hitters. If you keep reading on in that article, you will see Michel-Ange Balikwisha's name come up, where it says that the squad currently has a lot of transfer value. The likes of Balikwisha, Mahamadou Doumbia, Sene, Lamens and Zeno van den Bosch together hope to bring in the club around 30 million euros, which would provide economic breathing space. And although the question arises of what comes if you sell those players, well, that looks as though it's the situation. So the current rumours in that article is that Michel-Ange Balikwisha is being looked at by Celtic, Lens in France, Lille, Rennes also in France, and Stuttgart in Germany. So a few big clubs apparently circling around the name of Michel-Ange Balikwisha, which means that we will probably face stiff battle to try and sign him, but I feel like this is one that might happen. I just think with the fact that they need to sell him, the fact we're looking for a winger, and the fact he's somebody who's been on the club's radar for a long time, just makes a lot of sense. And he really ended the season with a, let's just call it a high note. Of course, we already discussed that Balikwisha suffered a big injury last year, which kept him out for the majority of the 24-25 campaign, and I realise that will bring some apprehension when his name is linked with the club for some people. But here's something to reassure you. Here was the stats that he picked up over the course of the 24-25 campaign. The big part you've got to look at here is the top part. The Jupiler Pro League Champions playoffs, essentially their split. In 10 appearances, he contributed to 7 goals, 4 goals and 3 assists inside the 10 biggest games of the season, the playoffs, the upper half of the split, whatever you want to call it. He was back to his best. He showed that he's not done as a player, and despite before that only playing 7 times across the full season, the end of the season shows you that there's still a serious player in there. When the going got tough, Balikwisha got going, and he showed no signs of rust. So there is a player in there. Will it be one that Celtic go for? I have a good feeling we will. Okay, so just as I was editing my video and ready to click render, Celtic have announced that Scott Bain has left the club. We knew this announcement was coming. We heard rumours that Celtic had allowed him to leave the club with the signing of Ross Doohan on the horizon. It is now official. Celtic have released that in the last 20 minutes as I record this segment of the video. Celtic can confirm that Scott Bain has left the club after more than 7 years as a Celt. During his time, he won 7 league titles, 4 league cups and 3 Scottish cups. What a trophy haul for Scott Bain, by the way. What a career he's had at the club. I wish him the best of luck with the rest of it, whatever he goes on to do next. Surely looking for some first team football before he hangs up the gloves. Listen, I know that we all have a laugh and a joke about Scott Bain and the Bainiacs, and he had a very particular job here, which was third choice, sitting on the, not even on the bench, sitting in the stands every week, best season ticket at Parkhead. But when he was called upon, he done what he had to do. Not the greatest keeper you're ever going to see, but certainly somebody who stood up in some big moments. I think back to him coming into the squad initially in 2018. He ended up playing in Valencia, I remember. He ended up playing in that Derby game where he had a great game. Yeah, he had some good moments, and I'm sure that he enjoyed his time at Celtic for the money he was picking up. So he is officially gone. This probably confirms the Ross Doohan transfer. We'll see that maybe in the next week or so. But Scott Bain is away. A big thank you to him, and cheerio. There is also more to the statement on Celtic's website if you want to go and read his interview, his farewell to the club. You can read that over there. I'll leave you do the reading. I've been talking for so long today. Right, that does it for today's video. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. We'll be back with a recording of the Celtic the Thunder this evening to finish off the season over there. So I will see you back on the channel tomorrow. And take care of yourself. Cheerio.